Arms Open Wide, a story of young love, loss, and loving bigger than you're loved. There's a kind of love that only happens once, usually when we're too young to understand what it really means. It hits hard, burns bright, and stays with you long after the person is gone. This is the story of mine, my first love, my first heartbreak, and the lesson that shaped the rest of my life. I loved her with arms open wide, but she loved me small. The summer she returned. I first met her on a hot Tennessee summer many years ago. She was staying with her grandmother in town, as she did each summer, and she ran with the same group of friends I did. One of those friends was a handsome musician, and he had caught her eye that first summer we met, and I, being young and stupidly loyal, kept my feelings buried deep out of respect for him. I remember thinking he was the luckiest guy alive. There was just something about her, something warm, bright, and easy to fall into. But the next summer, everything changed. I had just pulled into a local service station to fill up my bright yellow 1972 Ford Mustang Fastback, the one with the black racing stripe that made me feel 10 feet tall. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her walking up the street. She spotted me at the same moment, and suddenly she was running toward me. She threw her arms around me, full and wide, like she had been waiting a whole year to do it. And then she kissed me. I stood there stunned, knowing in one breath that everything I had held back the summer before had been real. A summer made of firsts. From that moment on, we were inseparable. We drove the back roads, talked for hours, laughed at nothing, and lived the kind of days that feel endless when you're young and in love. By the end of the summer, it felt like love, real love. I didn't know then how fragile young hearts could be. When she left at the end of August, she promised, "I'll write you." And she did. We wrote each other 2, sometimes 3 letters a week. Every few weeks, I made the long drive, hundreds of miles, to see her. Each visit made the bond deeper, the future clearer. It reached the point where I decided to ask her the biggest question of my life. So I bought a ring, drove to see her, talked for hours, and before I left, I asked her to marry me. She said yes, and with that yes, I believed I had found my forever. Dreams, distance, and the slow quieting of love. We kept writing, I kept driving. Months passed. I was 18 and already working full-time. She was finishing high school. Her dream had always been to attend the nearby university, but her family didn't have the money. Then came the good news. She had earned a full scholarship. We talked about the future, of how she could go to school and I could move closer, get work, and help support her. But she insisted she didn't need that. Dorms were free with a scholarship. She said it would be better for me to stay where I was, work toward our future from a distance. I asked her where that left us. She said she didn't know. Still, we made a plan. She would start school, I would work, and we'd build our life slowly until we could be together for good. A few weeks later, a box arrived in the mail. Inside was a letter and the engagement ring. She wrote that, with school demanding everything, with the distance between us, she felt it would be best if we put things on hold. She said maybe, after 4 years, we could pick back up. She said we should be free to see other people. But the truth was clear. She wasn't mine anymore. I wrote her one final letter. Told her I heard her loud and clear. Told her if nothing changed over the next 4 years, maybe we could find each other again. She wrote back once more, and then the letter stopped. That silence was the true goodbye. Heartbreak and the road that almost took me. Losing her hit me harder than I knew a heartbreak could. It ate at me, hollowed me out. I didn't know how to cope, so I turned to the bottle. Weekends were spent drinking hard, trying to drown the ache that wouldn't leave. One night months later, after a long night of drinking with buddies, we stumbled into a little diner at a truck stop for coffee and eggs, hoping to sober up before the drive home. While we sat there, a man came in that was very old for someone that was just 20. He was in his late 40s or 50s, rumpled coat, worn shoes, eyes heavy with the burden of too many wasted years. He was drunk, tired, lost. And in him, I saw myself. Not who I was, but who I was becoming. Right then and there, I made a decision. I quit drinking. Cold. Just stopped. And I turned all my energy toward work, education, and building a better life. Her leaving broke me, but it also saved me. Where the song comes from. Years later, when time had softened the edges but not erased the memory, I found myself thinking about that young love, how pure it had been and how uneven. I realized that I had loved her with everything I had, but she had loved me in smaller ways. And those thoughts became the song. I was standing at the start of something bright, chasing down a future that felt built for you and I. Because back then, I truly believed the love between us would last forever. But the truth was in the way she held back. You measured every heartbeat with a smaller scale, and the promise that I trusted was already set to fail. I loved you with my whole heart, 'cause I loved you this much, arms open full and wide, a love you could live in, no shadows left to hide. But she loved me small. Yeah, I loved you big, like a cathedral trimmed in gold, but you loved me small. Just a story quickly told. In the end, she gave me inches, while I offered her the skies. The truth came sinking slowly from the silence in your eyes. When the letter stopped, that silence told me everything. The warmth between us had burned out. Words are only paper when the fire is burning low. And every promise she had made crumbled in my fingers like a half-remembered dream. Still, I'm grateful. Because that heartbreak, the first and deepest, shaped my life. It taught me how deeply I could love. It taught me how quietly a heart can break. And it taught me to give my love honestly, fully, and without regret. Even if, sometimes, I gave you the skies, you gave me one thin line. Closing. Most people, if they're honest, know exactly what this story feels like. We've all loved someone big and been loved small in return. That's what my song, Arms Open Wide, is all about. And that's why I wrote it. To honor the boy I was, the love I lost, and the life that heartbreak helped me build. Because the truth is, that wasn't the last time a relationship of mine would fall apart. But your first love, that's the one that hits the deepest. The one that shakes you in a way nothing else quite can. It leaves a mark, even years later. But time has a way of surprising you. Because years down the road, when I least expected it, I met her. The woman who made me feel whole again. The woman I would marry, build a life with, and finally understand what it means for love to feel complete both ways. But that, well, that's a story for another day.
I was standing at the start of something bright, chasing down a future that felt built for you and I. Every moment felt like it could last forever. Believed the love between us would keep us together. But you measured every heartbeat with a smaller scale, and the promise that I trusted was already set to fail. 'Cause I loved you this much, arms open full and wide, a love you could live in, no shadows left to hide. Yeah, I loved you big like a cathedral trimmed in gold, but you loved me small, just a story quickly told. You gave me inches while I offered you the skies, and the truth kept sinking slowly from the silence in your eyes. You loved me small, and it broke what I designed, 'cause I gave you all of mine. The ink is fading on the promises you made, each one a testament to strength that slowly gave. You wrote a holding on a love that wouldn't break, said devotion was the steady ground we take. I reread every line when the doubt began to grow, trying hard to wake a heart that never found its glow. But words are only paper when the fire's burning low. And the warmth you lit for me had nowhere left to go. Cause I love you this much, arms open full and wide. A love you can live in, no shadows left to hide. Yeah, I loved you big like a cathedral trimmed in gold, but you loved me small, just a story quickly told. You gave me inches while I offered you the skies, and the truth came sinking slowly from the silence in your eyes. You loved me small, and it broke what I designed, cause I gave you all of mine. Every promise you handed me was lighter than it seemed, crumbled in my fingers like a half-remembered dream. Now I'm learning that the truth can break as quiet as a sigh, and the heaviest heartbreak is one doesn't even try. Cause I loved you this much, arms open full and wide. A love you could live in, no shadows left to hide. Yeah, I loved you big like a cathedral trimmed in gold, but you loved me small, just a story quickly told. You gave me inches while I offered you the skies, and the truth came sinking slowly from the silence in your eyes. You loved me small, and it broke what I designed. I gave you the skies, you gave me one thin line. You loved me small, yeah, you loved me small. I loved you this much, arms open full and wide, but you loved me small.